the craziest sunrise.
I have never been on anything this steep before. So you kind of get to the top and you just look down, and it's about, I think it's like 270 meters down. And you kind of just have to like wrap right off the edge, and it's definitely like an intimidating experience. It's been a steep learning curve, but that's also like kind of how I thrive. And I think Bronwyn knows that because she's done this to me before.
I'm thinking about what I want in a partner for this stuff, and it's not necessarily who's the most skilled. It's more about having a really good attitude and being ready to work hard. I can teach the skills, you know? It's hard to teach attitude.
Bring feet higher and stab right.
I think I tend to seek out this type of climbing objective that involves like a big adventure and a lot of hard work. If you're the first in a couple decades to do something, then there's just like so much more unknown, and it becomes like a part of that challenge. I've had to come up with all of these logistics. How do we get into this cliff to like get into position for the different pitches? If it had been done many times before, there would kind of be a bit of a framework that we could follow, and I could just call up someone who did it last week and ask them how to do it. Rock! So I think that if I manage to do this, it'll be the third free ascent, first female free ascent. Hopefully first and second at the same time.
So once again, my memory of the route is pretty hazy. Not just because it's been so long, but just the lifestyle that we lived back in the day. I'll just leave it at that. Things may not be factually accurate, I'm not sure, but this is what I remember. The north wall of La Popa is actually called El Gavilán.
Over the next decade, a few teams of hard men, pro climbers, went to try to repeat the line, but came back empty-handed.
There's, you know, 9 pitches of killer limestone 513 climbing. The whole thing had this mystique around it. Jeff really spun this story, you know, a treasure map to a haunted cemetery.
It was intoxicating, and that's what brought me back again and again. Not the feeling that I might not be able to do it, but the feeling that I just might pull this off.
According to Jefe, the only way to get out to this wall was to find an old man named Luciano who owned burros.
The approach was absolutely heinous. Basically, it was like 3 hours of 45-degree scree cactus whacking.
So other people went out there and tried to climb El Gavilán, but it wasn't until Alex Honnold did it that it saw its second ascent.
I mean, it's kind of like the quintessential Mexican landscape. You know, it felt like limestone tufa sport climbing, but on a big wall. You know, nobody had been up there in forever, and so, you know, I don't know if the bolts are good or bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if the route was starting to feel a little bit dated.
The bolts were like super rusty. We were climbing like really tentatively.
Dusty, cobwebby, dilapidated route.
I mean, I've never seen so much rock yarded off on lead in my life.
So the anchors of the route actually don't have hangers on them. They just have chains that are bolted to the wall. And I just remember thinking like, Bronwyn would just love this route, you know? But then I was also like, oh, that was terrifying, felt kind of dangerous. So I was like, I know, you should go and re-vault it.
Okay, so today I am wrapping in by myself. I flew down to Mexico with the goal to fix up El Gavilán and then try to send the route. There were a lot of unknowns. I'd never fixed up an old route before, and I'd only done a small amount of new routing in the past. I also didn't have a committed partner, and I ended up spending a lot of that trip wandering around the campgrounds in Potrero, trying to find climbers who might be up for a crazy mission into the desert with me. It was the steepest multi-pitch I have ever been on, and super sustained. Every pitch was hard.
Oh yeah, I'm in the shade, folks.
On top of replacing the bolts, it was going to take some time to learn and rehearse all the pitches.
You know, Jeff Jackson was really a pioneer when he was doing that in the 90s. No one was really putting up 513 multi-pitch sport routes.
I think what they did was pretty remarkable. Every 513 in a new location in the 1990s was hard, let alone a 9-pitch version of that in such a remote area.
It was a different kind of concept that I felt a part of, this kind of big wall, free climbing movement. So I think it's fair to say that it was relatively cutting edge at the time, you know.
What La Popa means is like the ship kind of, isn't it?
The head of the ship is called a popa.
Yeah! Kind of stuck.
Yeah, I just got it. But bro, maybe.
Bronwyn has a unique drive. When she decides she's gonna do something, she is gonna do it.
After my first trip, I came back empty-handed. I'd only managed to replace about half the old bolts. I decided at that point I wanted to come back with a solid crew of friends, finish the project, and send the route. We're going to the top of Gavilán. We're going to wrap in flagless 3 days. So that means bring a lot of stuff down with us. Not only do I have a solid team out here with me, I also have a dedicated climbing partner. Kelsey Watts is going to try to send Gavilán with me. Kelsey is more of a sport climber. She started getting into adventure climbing recently. She doesn't have all the technical skills yet, like ascending a rope.
Do a Jumaring lesson would probably be a good thing today.
I knew that it was going to be a lot of new terrain for me.
You know, some people in that situation would like freak out, and she was just like, all right, this is what I've got to do. I have to learn this thing. It's extremely intimidating, and I'm extremely like exposed and in the dark right now, but like I'm going to make it happen.
I think that her kind of like confidence in me and the trust that I have in her made me more excited than, you know, nervous or hesitant.
So I'm at the top of pitch 5. Kelsey is just down there. I added all the holes already, so I drilled the holes on this pitch. And now I'm having a lunch break while Kelsey goes down and adds the bolts into the holes.
My reaction when Bronwyn said that she was going to go up and replace the old bolts on the route was similar to the reaction I had when Alex Honnold was thinking about soloing El Sendero Luminoso and asked me what I thought about him cleaning the route and removing some of the vegetation on the route. And my response to Alex was, God smiles every time you uproot a lechuguilla cactus. God smiles every time one of those old bolts has been replaced and made safe.
I think the word that comes to mind is just empowering, especially in the sport of remote free climbing. That kind of niche of rock climbing is still like very male dominated and always has been. And so it feels kind of, yeah, empowering to get this whole group of ladies who are just out doing all this stuff too, because there's no reason why we can't. Crack for a reason.
Back 30 years ago, you couldn't find a woman at a crag, you know. Big wall free climbing has changed a lot in 30 years. Not only are there more women at the crags, there's women like Bronwyn that are pushing that envelope in the adventure realm.
Have to finish the bolting and finish rehearsing, and however much we get done today, like that's where it's getting to. So that's like exciting, but a little bit, I guess, like intimidating. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want to try it right now. You could go all the way to the anchor, or you could just go to that blocky stance. Maybe we'll just start with that. Paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, okay, go. We're at the top of the crux pitch. I've just lowered Kelsey in. She's got her shoes on, chalk bag on, ready to try it. This is her first time trying the crux. Let's see how she does.
And use it as a side pull to crimp. And then
Come into the battle. Yeah, so you do have the match the 2 crimps, but go left hand, right hand
And
first.
then left foot up. Yeah, and now balance and move your body weight to the right. There you go. That's it.
This is great, full recovery here.
There's a left side pull.
Cool climbing this route, like working these pitches with Kelsey right now. So I was like on my own last time I was here, like 2 years ago, trying to figure out all the sequences like by myself. Or like I had partners with me who were coming in, but like no one else was actually trying to work the route. And we're like the same size. So basically like each time one of us goes down, we're like finding out beta for both of us.
Kelsey, how would you feel if you had to lead that right now?
Currently, I would not feel very good, I'm sure. But, I mean, I think I just need to figure out all the sequences and sort of have it dialed because it's pretty fingery and pretty pumpy. It's definitely an enduro route.
What Kelsey and I will do is we'll swing leads, we'll lead half the pitches each. And then it's like this team goal that we're both trying to accomplish together. And so you're both like supporting each other to try and accomplish it. I've been kind of working towards this for like 3 years, I guess. And this is finally happening. It's cool. I'm nervous for the crux and about saving enough energy for those super steep pitches at the top. But I think we have a really good chance.
The first pitch was kind of some hollow flakes, more vertical climbing up a black water streak. The second pitch, I remember, had a bulge at the bottom, campus moves, came in, we thought maybe 12B or C. The third pitch was, for me, the hardest pitch. It was not extremely steep. I remember barely pulling it off when we sent it.
I had 2 goes. Not super ideal, but I think it's gonna be okay. It's gonna have to be. Yeah, feeling kind of nervous. This is the crux pitch. There are 2 places I could fall in this pitch. The tricky moves at the start, or right at the top, which would be kind of brutal because I would have to recover and reclimb the whole pitch.
Nice. Nice, Bron.
Yay! Take Kels!
Woo!
Woo!
Nice work! Fuck yeah!
That felt really good!
Nice!
Other foot. High left.
I know.
Nice. Good job. Yes. Smooth, Kels. High feet. Like lay back it. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, good job.
You too. That was great. Oh shit. It is coming off right now. Ah!
6 and 7 was where the rock kicked back into a super steep 200-foot pitches of steep tufa climbing.
Ooh, that's just coming off. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna chuck it.
Whoa.
I'm gonna chuck it past you. Ow! I'll just carry on.
Carry on. So nothing happened.
This film is supposed to make people want to climb this
I know, we're not doing a very good job of that, Bronwyn.
The bulge at the top of the 7th pitch is the last spot that I think we really could get shut down. I'm just worried about how tired we're going to be by the time we get there.
Com Deus me deito, com Deus me levanto, comigo eu calo, comigo eu canto, eu bato em papo, eu bato em ponto, eu tomo drink, eu fico tonto. Com Deus me deito, com Deus me levanto, comigo eu calo, comigo eu canto, eu bato em papo, eu bato em ponto, eu tomo drink, eu fico tonto. Com Deus me deito, com Deus me levanto, comigo eu calo, comigo eu canto, eu bato em papo, eu bato em ponto, eu tomo drink, eu fico tonto.
Until Kelsey gets here.
I'm down here. Nice work, dude. Yeah, no falls the whole time. I was saying we practiced too much, so we should have made it spicier.
I know, it's true.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that La Popa is seeing some action. I always felt like that crag was a gem just sitting out there waiting to be climbed. We can share that experience. That's really what it's all about, is sharing the experience with others. We talked to people about the cliff before going out there. And the reports were always full of sort of mystical, spooky stories about strange sightings in the desert.
Another thing that drew me to this cliff was the intriguing stories.
There were strange lights that would appear, the momias de Monterrey, the mummies that walked the desert at night.
And then it would just zip across the sky, like halfway across the sky and flicker over here and then just disappear.
It was just kind of surreal. The whole thing was surreal.
The whole ground was just bathed in this red light.
We looked down the slope and we saw that the slope was checked with lights. I clearly remember thinking that it was people down there holding lanterns. It freaked us out. Got up the next morning and there were no people, but the whole slope was covered in these shaggy horses. One of the legends was that there were Naguales. They take the form of men in the day but turn to animals at night.
Yeah, we did climb the route in a single day from where we were camping in Potrero. So we just drove over, found the mountain, climbed the route, made it back to the car, drove home. It was all just like a pretty quick outing. And yeah, I mean, that could be why we didn't see anything weird, or we didn't see anything weird because there's nothing weird out there. It's just the Mexican desert. It's just the normal landscape.